So basic guidelines: follow the publisher's process, write clearly and concisely, you know, pay attention to grammar, you know. What I would say to you as well, if it's UK or American focused, make sure you're writing in the English that's associated with those, in terms of that. And then just moving on then to, you know, the reasons why papers get rejected. And this kind of links in with what I said earlier. It's been sent, your paper has been sent to the wrong journal. It doesn't fit the aims and scope of the journal itself, or fails to engage with an issue, a current issue in terms of the research. So it's really important in relation to that you actually address the scope of the journal. Often with journals, it varies from journal to journal, but often they have a special issue on something topical. And that's why I said there about COVID-19. Some of the journals are actually advertising currently on people researching in that area to submit papers. So again, keep an eye out in relation to those calls for special issues. You may be doing a piece of research that might fit in with one of them. Another reason you may not get accepted is it's not a true journal article. It's too journalistic, or it's a thesis or a consultancy report, you know, a chapter from someone's thesis or a consultancy report presented. What I find with those particular papers, we reject them at the editorial stage. They come into the journal and we just reject outright. That's what we tend to do, okay? Too long, too short, you know. Again, a common feedback for us is this is a conference paper and not an academic journal paper, is the feedback we give. So someone has taken a chance putting it into a journal rather than actually putting it into a conference first. And then poor academic writing or poor respect to the conventions of the journal. So someone could be writing their paper and they may have it formatted in a way that's particularly similar to a journal they're used to, and they don't actually reformat it to meet the requirement of the journal. Pay attention to the conventions. Poor style, poor grammar, poor punctuation, I've mentioned already. It doesn't make a contribution to the subject area, not properly contextualized, and that's one of the comments I would regularly give back, especially with the titles that people put on their paper. If you're writing a paper, set the context, you know, looking at sustainability in, you know, housing construction in Ireland. That's not the same as doing it in the United Kingdom or the United States of America. So the context is really, really important. Poor theoretical framework. In other words, there's no actual methodological thinking done in the paper. So again, that's often an area where people struggle. Scrappily presented and sloppily proofread, or libelous, unethical, rude, or lacks objectivity. So a paper that actually hasn't paid attention to ethical procedures and ethical conventions. Okay.
Fine.
Okay, so here's a paper that we got published in the Construction Management and Economics Journal. Okay, it's volume 38 and it's issue 1. The title of it is Irish Construction, Cross-Border Trade and Brexit, Practitioner Perceptions on the Periphery of Europe. So really we were writing about what the construction industry north and south of the border was doing in Ireland in terms of how people were responding to that. Okay, you can see here, conference was in September 2018 and we got published in 2020. So there's a time lag there. Okay, so if you're publishing, the important thing I would say to you is that you actually think about this. This will probably take a year to get published in an academic journal. So again, that importance of the time frame, because often the case is you'll submit, you'll actually, the reviewers will be appointed, the reviewers will feed back to the editor. That often takes 3 months. finish that process. So you get maybe three to 4 months after you've submitted, you get the feedback. And then often is the case, they'll ask you to do some revisions. So again, you do the revisions, you resubmit, and by looking at all of that process, you actually end up it being nearly a year. Okay, we were fortunate on this particular paper that the lead author, Tara, she actually had some money left from a research budget, and she actually paid for open access. So if anybody goes to that paper, they can actually download it for free. Excuse me. If you can see there, and this was taken down about a month ago, this screenshot, 1,497 views of the paper. In other words, the paper has been actually read, well, we presume read, 1,497 times. Cross-reference citations is 0, but the altmetrics is 11. And I'll talk about altmetrics in a few moments. But you can see there, people are reading that paper, which is actually really good for us. So if for example, I was going for an interview for a new job as an academic, and people were actually looking at my application, looking at the peer-reviewed papers that I have, all of those indications would actually be looking good for me in terms of actually the merit of my research and the research that I'm putting out there. So that's an important element to say to people who are starting off in this journey. You know, you won't build it overnight, but you will build it in time. But they're the type of things to be looking out for, is actually getting yourselves cited and published in journals. Okay. Other publishing opportunities, you know, the journal is a big one, but special issues for journals are important. You may be asked, or you may come across the opportunity to author a chapter in a book. And again, linking that to your subject area, it's a good way to get people to know about your expertise. You may want to author a book. You may author or be part of a report group who are giving technical or policy information to the industry that you're associated with, you know, and again, that also comes from getting published and being out there in the community, author research finding reports, those sort of things. And then in your subject area, you may be asked to publish. So in Ireland here, our national broadcaster has a thing called Brainstorm. It's basically an online platform, and it's for academics to publish their research, but it's actually not scientific research from the point of view that it hasn't gone through a rigorous review process. So again, there are opportunities to actually share and put out to the community some of the work that you're doing, especially important in areas that are current and that people want to know information on. So again, if you are publishing, that's a good way to get your information out there. Hopefully you can see that.